Good afternoon, everybody. I think you've set out very clearly why energy efficiency is so important. I won't rehearse all of the statistics. I would only say this is the lowest, or what I used to call the lowest of the low-hanging fruits, but somebody actually corrected me and said it's not hanging, it's lying on the ground waiting to be picked up. This is the biggest single best investment that UK PLC can make. It not only provides jobs, which are absolutely critical, and they're shovel-ready jobs right now. It provides lower bills for consumers, the equivalent of 2p off income tax. It provides benefits in terms of better homes and better health outcomes, and of course, significantly lower emissions. And heating in homes is one of the biggest emitters of CO2 now. And so when you add all that together, there's around about 47 billion net present value benefit for the UK economy. And this is something which we absolutely have to do in the short term as one of the policy measures to drive us out of the COVID crisis, but also in the medium term, it's absolutely critical for delivering net zero. So the question arises, if all of those things are true, we know what to do, we know how to do it, we know the very significant benefits of doing it. The question rises, why hasn't it happened? Why are we still having this debate every year, it seems? And I think the only answer I can come up with is there has been a big policy failure in this area, and that's lasted for many, many years. And now we have an opportunity to rectify that. And I think the Green Deal is something that's always cited as a failure, and it was indeed a failure. And then we have to ask the question, why didn't it work? And I think the most important point to make on that is it didn't put the customer, the consumer of energy, at the heart of it. And that's where we need to now go in order to make this happen. And maybe just a personal anecdote about my own experience. I lived in Germany for many, many years, and obviously Germany has had a huge amount of focus given the so-called Energiewende, the switch away from fossil and nuclear towards renewables. They haven't got everything right, by the way, I hasten to add. You know, German energy policy is not an example for everyone, but one thing they did get very, very right was around energy efficiency. My own personal experience was when I moved to Germany, I was surprised how new everything looked. And of course, there's one obvious reason for that, the rebuilding after the Second World War. But there was more than that. And I didn't realize the reason why until I bought a house myself, which was a 1950s house. And when I got a loan, a mortgage from Commerzbank, they also insisted I take a loan from the KfW, the German Development Bank, to fund energy efficiency measures. And that was about 10% of the total value and 250 basis points lower interest than the commercial loan I got from Commerzbank. And I didn't have to worry about arranging it all. They did all the arranging. And what did I do with that? Well, you have to get an expert in to assess what needs to be done. And that entailed new boiler, solar thermal on the roof, new energy efficient windows, and external wall insulation. And the total package meant that my energy bills, my energy consumption fell considerably. And then I realized why everything looked new in Germany, because you knock on the external wall insulation and it's all hollow because it's insulation, but everything looks brand new. So my 1950s house was transformed into a brand new house. And if you ever are in Germany, and when we can travel again, try knocking on a few facades as you walk down the road, and you'll see they're hollow. Because even if they look brick, it's probably external wall insulation to insulate the home. And Germany's had a real success, and in some ways it's offset the very expensive price they pay for electricity because their renewable subsidies are very, very high. But the unit cost of the electricity is very, very high, but the consumption is much lower because of the energy efficiency measures. So I think that's something we can definitely learn from the whole KfW experience, and it's been tremendously successful in driving private investment. So in terms of future policy, I think the most important thing in the first instance is use the mechanisms we already have. So we already have the eco scheme in place. It's not perfect, but it's there. It can be upscaled quickly. We know the demand is there. We've put out a tender recently for eco, which was oversubscribed. So there's demand there, the supply chain is there, it can be turned on very, very quickly. And we've delivered over 1.3 million energy efficiency measures over the last 12 years, predominantly using ECO. We also know the Warm Homes Fund is a very effective measure. That's currently 150 million. And we're doing numerous homes, around 1,000 in Staffordshire under the Warm Homes Fund. So another mechanism that can be ramped up. There's also the home upgrade grants that was in the Conservative manifesto, 2.5 billion for that. We think that should be doubled to get $1 billion a year over the next 5 years to really drive the uptake of energy efficiency and heat pumps in those homes where it's most needed, i.e. targeting the fuel poor. But also in the medium term, we have to get the able to pay market working. I mean, all of those mechanisms, ECO, Warm Homes Fund, home upgrade grants, they're all about the fuel poor. We need to get the able to pay market working, because that's 89% of homes, 11% are in fuel poverty. And that means bringing in mechanisms like I mentioned with the KfW, some kind of green mortgage where we can marshal billions, literally billions. And the number for the KfW is around 260 billion invested over the period 2007 to 2017. And for every euro of public money, €6 of private money has been invested. And also over the medium term, it means aligning tax incentives. That means things like council tax holidays, differential council tax bans for more energy efficient homes, zero rate VAT on energy efficiency measures, and a complete review of stamp duty where measures for energy efficiency are taken. So those are the key things we need to do over the medium term to get people focused on energy efficiency and investing their own money as well as public money. And as I said, come back to the beginning, the net present value for UK PLC is enormous. Thank you. Well, I'm a great believer that yes, energy suppliers should be promoting energy efficiency. I was asked in the past about why a company that sells energy would want to sell less of it. And the reason for that is very straightforward, that we do not see ourselves as purely a supplier of energy. We see ourselves as a partner for customers, which means helping them use energy in a better way, even produce their own energy through things like solar PV, batteries, and helping them to navigate their way through the zero carbon transition. And that's fundamental to our purpose. So it's not just about stacking them high and selling them cheap. It's about getting the right kind of energy service for our customers, and energy efficiency is a fundamental part of that. We've built a fantastic relationship with the supply chain through the ECO scheme, and we can turn on the tap quite quickly actually if we need to do this. And I think this is one of the things where because we have that momentum and we have that experience, we can move very, very quickly. Now, don't get me wrong, the ECO scheme is not perfect. There are a number of flaws in it, and I think I won't rehearse them all now. My only point about ECO was it's a mechanism that already exists and can be ramped up very, very quickly in response to the challenge we have now in front of us. But I think over the longer term, as I said, I think the targeting of fuel poor households is critical. ECO is one mechanism, home upgrade grants is another, but getting the able to pay is also fundamentally important. And can I just come back to the point about energy efficiency being boring? I think that has been true in the past, and so the question is, how can we make it more sexy, so to speak? One of the things I noticed if you go back 2 or 3 years, solid wall insulation, external cladding was part of ECO. It's now been disallowed on grounds that the carbon savings are not enough. Now, whether you agree with that or not, the fundamental point is when you do the external wall insulation, I remember a lady, she had a terrace house in Mansfield where we did a number of pieces of work for us. And we also asked her neighbours at the time, would you like the same work? And most of them said, no, we're not interested. Once she's had the external insulation put on, her house looked fantastic. She was proud as punch, and she said a number of the neighbours came up and were asking, "Oh, how can we get this done?" Unfortunately, we'd moved on by then. The point being, though, when people can see the difference and not just feel the difference in their energy bills, but see something tangible, which they feel is adding something to the value of their property, and they can tangibly see it, it really helps to drive the interest. And that's one of the problems with energy efficiency. It's invisible generally. If you make it visible and you make it attractive for consumers, you make it much more likely they will buy into it and get more headlines.